little delayed. Good morning. Is this going to be like this, the echo? I mean, okay,
Nope.
seems to have gone away. Okay, this is a call to order. This is a meeting call to order. This is a regular session of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors. We'll be sitting as all taxes, special taxing districts. This is the May 4th, 2020, 9 a.m. meeting. I know board members may attend in person or by telephone or remotely via electronic conferencing. I think every supervisor is here, and as you can tell, if you could just simply tell, we're sort of following physical separation guidelines, so I wish there was a little more distance between some of us, but, I guess we're gonna have enough. Enough is enough. All right, the first item in the agenda is call to order, which I've done, and we'll have Pledge of Allegiance. Judge Haas, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And the first item in the agenda is call to the public. Call to the public is held for the public benefit to allow individuals to address issues within the board's jurisdiction. Board members may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to Arizona revised statutes, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to criticism, or scheduling the matter for further discussion and decision at a future date. And I suppose, Kevin, we are set up to receive a call, or how are we handling call to the public this time? Call to the public? I mean, do we have, this one here is for project 1, number 2, discussion 1 and 2. So I suppose that's not someone that's waiting to address us in the public, is it? Okay, then I need to bring him in, right? That's the way we're gonna do it. We're gonna bring in the public, general public. So Pedro Ramos?
Come on, right up
Project
here.
1 and 2.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Step up, microphone, please.
First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Pedro Pablo Ramos Martinez. I'm a disabled American veteran. And I'm just here just to, and I want to thank you guys. You guys doing a good job. I've been here for about 2 years, and I've seen the good job that you guys been doing, so congratulations.
Thank
The reason I wanted to come up here is because I like transparency. And I got other things that I want to say, but mainly transparency. And I want to know what that, first of all, let me get my glasses. The project for the park, okay, for the Gaston Park, what is the $170,000 buying? All right.
Oh, so you're talking about the CDBG allocation for the park?
The
On the consent agenda?
fund.
Can we answer that? It's in the agenda, or do we have to wait until then? So there's an item in the agenda where we're gonna address those particular items. We're not allowed by law to respond to your comments or criticism unless it's in the agenda. And it is in the agenda a little further down the road, so if you just wait a little while, we will discuss
That's what
that item.
I'll wait a little while.
All right.
Okay,
That-
but
that-
I also want to say that you guys are undercutting yourselves. $5 million ain't much. Okay, I think there's room for improvement to get some more money. Okay. All
Well,
right.
$5 million sounds like a lot to me. I mean, maybe I'm a little, but, we'll,
Not for the county.
okay, good.
Okay.
Well, there for a while, I thought you said you liked conspiracy instead of transparency, and I said, oh, wow. So do
keep it
some of us,
American.
but thanks a lot for showing up, and we will discuss that item, and you'll be able to listen to it and see it on the screen. Okay?
All right, fine, thanks.
You're welcome. So is there anyone else? Mr. Ramos? No? If not, I'm gonna keep the open to the public item open for the rest of the meeting, so if somebody shows up or calls up about, and wants to make a comment, they will be allowed to do so. And I forgot to read that. Anyone who's concerned about COVID-19 and does not want to be put into an open setting can submit an email, call to the public statement. This email forms of public comment will be accepted until 8 a.m. on the morning of the meeting. All public comments will be read out loud during the Yuma County Board of Supervisors meeting beginning at 9 a.m. This is sort of instructions for people who may still want to say something and open to the public, but don't, may want to follow distance guidelines. It may not want to appear personally, so we are allowing that to be read into the record. And as I've said earlier, we cannot just get into a discussion. The most we can do is direct staff to take care of whatever issues they might pop up while we're open to the public. Next item is presentations, proclamations, and appointments. During this segment of the agenda, board members may discuss presentations and proclamations and may announce appointments to the Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission and the Yuma County Board of Adjustments, and no legal actions will be taken. Because this is an important proclamation, I'll have Supervisor Pancrase read it for you. It is us proclaiming the month of May 2020 as Yuma County Nurses Month, and I'm going to have her read the proclamation, and then we'll discuss a little bit about it. I suppose there's someone here, because I recognize someone that I recognize someone from the health department here. It's a story I will tell later.
Oh, no, now.
Now? Well, read it. I appreciate
Okay, I'll read it
Read it, and then give me some time to gather my thoughts. Yeah.
Proclaiming the month of May 2020 as Yuma County Nurses Month. Whereas 4 million registered nurses in the United States comprise our nation's largest healthcare profession, and whereas the American Nurses Association, as the voice for registered nurses in this country, is working to chart a new course of a healthy nation that relies on increasing delivery of primary and preventive health care, and whereas professional nursing is an indispensable component on the safety and quality of care for our hospitalized patients, and whereas the demand for qualified registered nurses services will be greater than ever due to the current health crisis, the aging population, expansion of life-sustaining technologies, and the growth of home health care services. And whereas, along with the American Nurses Association, the Yuma County Public Health Services District has declared the expansion of Nurses Week to the entire month of May as the National Nurses Month, with themes: Nurses, a voice to lead nursing the world to health. Now, therefore, Marco A. Tony Reyes, Chairman of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors, hereby proclaim the month of May 2020 to be Yuma County Nurses Month. And we ask that all residents of Yuma County to join in honoring the registered nurses who care for us all, not just during this month, but throughout the year.
In witness whereof I have set my hand and fixed the official seal of the Board of Supervisors. This is done in Yuma County, at the Yuma County seat, this 14th day of May 2020. Before you begin,
Thank you.
I think it's obviously not a secret that, nurses, especially nurses and first responders, have been incredibly heroic during the last couple of months. And beyond the proclamation, I personally, and I think on behalf of the board, want to make sure that you know that we acknowledge the work and that we think that what you guys are doing is just great, and that it reflects very well in Yuma County to have people like yourselves representing us during this crisis. We have heard nothing but compliments about the job you all doing, and at this particular time, we like to thank you very much for what you're doing, and hopefully we can do some things to make sure that you can continue doing such a great job, and hopefully we'll come out of this the best we can.
Thank you so much. Good morning. My name is Diana Gomez. I am the Director of Public Health for the Yuma County Health Services District. Thank you again for your support, and a huge acknowledgement to the nurses everywhere in Yuma County. Our public health nurses are doing case identification, case tracing, busy doing that, every day of the week. Same thing for our ER nurses or ICU nurses. But shout out goes to, normally I would have Jason Bradley from NAU School of Nursing and some AWC nursing instructors who are doing a marvelous job training the next generation of nurses. So thank you to all those nursing instructors. Thank you for all those committed nursing students. And when we say public health nurses, and just nurses in general, it's everybody in the nursing profession. It's your certified nursing assistants, it's your LPNs, it's your RNs, everybody who is doing an amazing, amazing job on the front line. So thank you so much. We're practicing social distancing, but I have my director of nursing and my deputy director, who are both nurses who have been, pitching in on the weekends as well, besides working, 10, 12-hour days during the week. So everybody is just doing their best to ensure that we do what we can to keep our community healthy. So to all the nurses, whether you're a student, a recent graduate, or you're a seasoned pro, thank you so much for your work.
You can pick that up, put it in front there, and you can pick it up right now. Okay. The picture will be later. We can't take pictures right now.
Yeah.
I have some in the car for you.
Yes. Proper seal.
Make sure you get some antibacterials.
Yes, do a picture later.
We put some in the podium there for you in case you need one.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And again, I don't think we can say enough, about what all of you first responders are doing during these difficult times. And we hope that at some particular point in time, we'll be able to acknowledge that in a proper way, with hugs and no kisses, but hugs. Later on. Thank you very much for being here. And the next item in the agenda, and it's from Superior Court Administration, and it will be a presentation on why Yuma County needs a Veteran Treatment Court and Program Mission. Superior Court Presiding Judge David Haas and Mediator Aaron Ballos will attend to give a PowerPoint presentation. Judge, the forum is yours.
Thank you.
Make sure you wipe it well.
I'm not going to touch it. Chairman Reyes, members of the board, County Administrator Thorpe, members of the public, it's a pleasure to be here today. We are in the process of forming a Veterans Court, finally. I've been hearing talking about a Veterans Court in Yuma County for years. I've been on the bench now for 8 years, and there was talk about it before. When I became presiding judge, I started to receive some of the input, one way to call it, pressure is another way to call it, from members of the community who think or who feel strongly that we need a Veterans Court. We are a community with a large veteran population. We have the Marine base, YPG, and many people who work there through in their careers in the military come back because they find Yuma a wonderful place to live. Through the years as a criminal judge, I've seen many veterans come through the court. And we have tried our best to serve them, through regular standard probation resources that we have, and we have tried. But looking at the way veteran courts have operated in other jurisdictions throughout the country and throughout the state, there is a more successful way to deal with veterans who come into the criminal justice system. Veteran courts have been very effective. And so we are at the point now where we're taking the lead. We're not coming today asking for money, but sometime down the road we are going to be asking for money. We're going to make this work with existing resources. We put together a team. The team is receiving training, and our goal is to have a Veterans Court begin operating later this year, September, October. We have a lot of very intelligent, motivated people on the team, experienced people, and I am very confident that we're going to be successful in establishing and operating and growing our Veterans Court. Today, we're going to have a presentation from one of the members of the team, Erin Ballos. She is the Veteran Treatment Court evaluator. It's her job to see how the Veterans Court is doing, what we're doing well, what we can do better. She came to Superior Court from adult probation. She's been a great addition. I'm sure as you hear her presentation, you will be impressed with her, and she is indicative of what our Veterans Court, Treatment Court team is. So I thank you for your time, and we want to open your eyes and have your mind open, and perhaps down the road your pocketbook open to help our Veterans Court. Thank you.
Good morning, members of the board. Good morning. My name is Erin Ballos, and I am a mediator with Yuma County Superior Courts. And prior to my position as a mediator, I worked at Yuma County Adult Probation for 18 years. And a lot of those years were spent in the drug court program. I was a drug court probation officer, a drug court substance abuse counselor, and also the drug court coordinator.
Thank you.
So I have seen firsthand how specialty treatment courts can help people transform their lives. So thank you for giving us this opportunity today to talk to you about Veterans Treatment Court, and I'll also be referring to Veterans Treatment Court as VTC in this presentation. I would like to share a short video with you from the Justice for Vets website that really captures the essence of Veterans Treatment Court and why we need a Veterans Treatment Court in our community.
The longest war in America's history has just ended. The men and women who fought for our freedom are among our greatest civic assets. When they return home, we're thankful and proud of their service. Most veterans are strengthened by their experience in the military, but right now, more than half of the 2.6 million who deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan return with mental health conditions related to their service. 1 in 6 struggle with addiction, and 1 in 5 have PTSD. Left untreated, these issues make it difficult to adjust to life after they return and can lead to unemployment, homelessness, and arrest. There are 700,000 vets in the criminal justice system right now, many of them arrested for charges directly related to trauma, addiction, or mental illness. For a long time, our justice system relied on punishment to change behavior. This hasn't worked. New Veterans Treatment Courts provide an alternative to incarceration. These veterans-only courtrooms offer treatment, accountability, and structure, while connecting them to benefits they have earned. If there is no Veterans Treatment Court available, they may end up in jail, separated from family, without treatment, and stuck in a cycle from which they may never recover. But in Veterans Treatment Courts, they are surrounded by other veterans. They receive veteran-specific treatment, meet regularly with a veteran mentor, and they have the opportunity to get their life back on track. This year, 11,000 veterans who would otherwise be behind bars are receiving life-saving treatment. The average cost to keep someone in prison is over $22,000 a year. If the veterans who need help had gone to jail instead of treatment, the bill could have been $248 million. And those that go through the program are less likely to be rearrested. The country's first Veterans Treatment Court has a 98% success rate. That's unprecedented in American criminal justice. Veterans Treatment Courts save lives, families, and futures. It returns vets to the life they fought to protect. You can help to put Veterans Treatment Courts within reach of every veteran in need. Learn more and take action at takepart.com/returntheservice.
Overwhelming statistics talked about in this video. More than half of the 2.6 million veterans from the Iraq and Iran war are returning back with mental health issues related to their military service. 1 out of 6 veterans has an addiction problem, and 1 out of 5 veterans has a mental health issue. Left untreated, these veterans suffer higher rates of unemployment, higher arrest rates, and higher rates of homelessness. We presently have over 700,000 veterans in our criminal justice system, many who are arrested for charges related to their substance use and mental health issues.
Before you leave that, when you mentioned returning from war from the Iraq and Iran, I didn't even, Iran? Isn't it Afghanistan?
Yes.
Is that the correlation?
Yes.
I didn't know we were in a war with Iran. I thought we were in a war with Afghanistan. or, you know, or with the, but anyway, look, I understand the context of the presentation, but I don't really think mentioning a war with Iran is sort of like what most people would understand.
Afghanistan.
It's Afghanistan. I would say that.
Okay, thank you. In Yuma County, we have a veteran and active duty population totaling 13% of our community. Presently, veterans placed on probation in Yuma County remain on a regular court docket. Our court's current response to veterans is more harmful and costlier to Yuma County. When you review these incarceration rates of veterans booked into our jail over the past 3 years, you can see that there has been an increase in the number of veterans being booked in for both felony and misdemeanor offenses. And we recently received additional stats from the jail, and when broken down by age group, for the past 3 years, the two highest age groups are between the ages of 30 to 34 and 60 years old and older. And when broken down by the types of crimes, over the past 3 years, most veterans are being booked into jail for domestic violence offenses, substance abuse offenses, and assault and disorderly conduct offenses. So how can Yuma County, how can our program address the current arrest problem for veterans and save money for Yuma County? Our Veterans Treatment Court will identify veterans early through a collaboration of our team, early disposition court, and a streamlined screening process that places the veteran in our court quickly. With early disposition court, participants are offered a plea agreement before the preliminary hearing, shortening time spent in custody and awaiting sentencing. And with early disposition court, the VTC team estimates that the days the veterans will remain in jail will be cut in half, saving Yuma County hundreds of thousands of dollars in jail costs alone. This chart describes a veteran moving through the court process from arrest to Veterans Treatment Court. When a veteran is arrested, our VTC jail liaison will notify the team, which happens on a weekly basis. The veteran will have his or her first court appearance within 24 to 72 hours of arrest. And in 7 days at the preliminary hearing, the veteran can enter into a plea agreement with early disposition court. At that time, the judge will set the case out for 2 weeks to allow the team time to screen the veteran. And within those 2 weeks, the veteran will have a clinical screening by a licensed therapist to determine mental health and substance abuse issues. And this veteran will also be screened by a probation officer to determine risk and need levels. Our team will meet weekly to staff cases, and if a veteran is eligible for VTC, he or she will be placed on the next Veterans Treatment Court docket. If a veteran is not eligible for VTC, the case will return to the regular court docket for adjudication. With our model, veterans can be arrested and placed into Veterans Treatment Court in as little as 2 months. The criteria for our Veterans Treatment Court is having served in the military, the National Guard, or reserves. You must be a Yuma County resident, and you must have mental health and substance use issues requiring treatment and our support. The exclusionary factors for Veterans Treatment Court are being dishonorably discharged, you're not a Yuma County resident, you're pending deportation, or you have an extraditable warrant, or you have a conviction for a sex offense. And violent cases will be staffed on a case-by-case basis with our team. Our VTC program has 5 goals. These goals are to improve public safety and reduce veteran contact with the criminal justice system, reduce veteran recidivism by providing a treatment-based, judicially supervised program, improve the quality of life for the veteran by helping them reintegrate back into a civilian life. We want to increase veteran employment and improve familial relationships. We also want to connect veterans with services and improve their access to VA benefits. And finally, our goal is to reduce court costs associated with incarceration and criminal case processing and connect the veterans with VA services that don't require any additional county funding. And by going through our program, the veteran gains employment, housing, and education assistance, assistance with mental health medication and substance use treatment. They'll gain veteran peer connections and possible dismissal of charges for deferred prosecution cases. Our program has 6 phases with a dedicated court calendar for veterans only. The expected length of participation is 18 months for felony cases and 12 months for misdemeanor cases. And we expect the average annual admission rate to be between 25 to 40 veterans, with these numbers continuing to grow as our program evolves. Yuma County is applying for a 3-year grant with the Department of Justice to start our Veterans Treatment Court here. Grant funds will help pay for substance abuse testing 2 times a week for the length of the program, with no out-of-pocket costs to the veterans. And grant funding will also help pay for staff training, treatment workbooks, and a data software program to help track and evaluate our program. And at this time, I'd like to introduce you to our Veterans Treatment Court team. Greg Stewart will be our judge. Mary White will be our county attorney. Michael Breeze will be our defense attorney. Kieran Gamble is our Veterans Justice Outreach Specialist. Terry Couch is our Community Treatment Specialist and Veteran Mentor Coordinator. Mike Bird, who's the Interim Chief Adult Probation Officer, will assign a probation officer to our team. I will be evaluating the program, and most importantly, we are going to have volunteer veteran mentors who will be assigned to each veteran. And our program has received an outpour of support from the community. And these agencies are committed to supporting our program, and we will utilize these agencies throughout the duration of our program. The Yuma County Sheriff's Office, the Yuma Police Department, Community Health Associates, Crossroads Mission, Community Bridges, Achieve Human Services, Community Medical Services, Horizon Health and Wellness, Child and Family Services, which has a program called Right Turn for Vets, Behavioral and Analysis Counseling, Catholic Community Services, and Hope Inc. And the motto of our program is "No one fights alone."
Oh, I like that.
Thank you.
Are we open for questions now?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Hi.
I think it's a
Thank
good
you.
thing.
I just commend you for starting the program.
Yeah.
Long overdue.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One question for
Yes.
you. When you some of the exclusionary items in there, the one that sticks to my mind is dishonorable discharge. I know it's a variety of reasons why that happens, but if there's a troubled individual, obviously the one that gets dishonorably discharged, it's a troubled individual, and not dealing with that veteran may only increase the chance that things will get worse for that individual. Obviously, he was dishonorably discharged for a reason. Now, if you could find a list of reasons why people get discharged, if it's mental illness as one of them, so that person can qualify for that assistance. Otherwise, we're dealing with veterans that deserve the service. I do understand that. But at the end of the day, the ones that probably cause a worse disruption are the ones that are, for some reason or another, either mentally, something's wrong with them. So they get discharged and they're sent into the general population, and then we don't deal with that. I'm not sure whether that's something that you guys need to take a look at, further look at.
And that's a really good question, and that's something that I can bring back to the team. The reason that we have dishonorably discharged as an exclusionary factor is because the team felt in order to be dishonorably discharged from the military, you have to have committed some type of egregious act, and you would not be appropriate for our program.
Well, sure,
I might
but
add also, we talked about this, and the different courts, veterans courts around the country handle the issue differently. One of the issues is if you are an honorably discharged veteran, you are eligible for VA services. So a lot of the treatment services that these veterans are going to need are going to be paid for by the federal government. Dishonorably discharged veterans don't have that. And at this point, we're not coming to you with a budget request. We don't have the money to pay for their services.
All right.
And so, and also, from my speaking with Veterans Court judges, some of them feel like the dishonorably and honorably discharged veterans don't mix as well together. And we want to start small. We want a cohesive, successful court. Down the road, as we get going, the exclusionary things may change, but for now, starting, we wanted to exclude dishonorably discharged veterans.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to, where do the others fall in that, like the general discharge, bad conduct, stuff like that? Do they fall into that dishonorable?
Other than honorable and general discharges are still in our court. They may or may not get VA services.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, that was a good presentation, great presentation. And I think I was around when we started drug court. It was a long time ago. And, just like that program has become an essential part of the system, I think that the veterans, with so many people coming back, it's a needed service. And thank you guys for thinking of it, and hopefully we'll find a way to support it.
Thank you.
Anything else? No? All right. Well, thank you for that presentation, and we are now moving into the consent calendar, which is the next item.
Thank
Yes,
you.
we're doing it.
Bye.
Stay healthy, stay inside, stay connected. Until May 15th. Maybe. The following items listed under the consent agenda will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member so requests. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. Are there any items in there that you would like to pull out?
You'll want to pull the one the gentleman spoke to, I think, Mr. Chairman.
The one that who spoke to? The gentleman that came?
Gentleman, yeah.
Pedro or
Yeah.
Pablo? Well, that's on the discussion item.
Oh,
It's the
okay,
second
I thought
one.
it was on
As a
consent.
matter of fact, I think I figured out what the $5 million he was talking about. That's probably the Welton project. He's probably saying $5 million is not enough for that water project.
No,
I was trying to figure out what the $5 million he was talking about. But then anyway, we'll get to it. The consent calendar, though. Is there anything in the consent calendar that anyone wants to pull out to discuss? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve consent calendar as presented.
so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Then motion and second to approve consent items 1 through 18 as presented. There being no discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Bye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I'll be down to get another swab later on.
Thank you.
In your nose?
Oh, she did it in my throat. I just remember. Well, it's a long story. I got tested for coronavirus. I was fine. But she did it. She did it. She's left.
And
So-
it was tough, huh?
Yeah, it was really tough.
I know.
But she did a good job, a great.
I heard they are pretty tough, yes.
So we did the consent items and people are moving. Did you take them out? The gentleman that was here to talk about it, he'll be back? Okay. Then, we're gonna go on then to discussion and action items where the board will open each of the following items separately for discussion and action as appropriate. The number one item is Public Works. As the Board of Directors of Yuma County Improvement Districts number 2017-02, Tacna Water, we are to conduct a public hearing to discuss a loan grant application filed with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Rural Development for approximately $5.4 million to finance land acquisition, engineering, design, and construction of a water treatment system for the town site of Tacna, and to approve the application to the USDA Rural Development and authorize Nancy Nye, Community Planning Supervisor, to serve as the electronic authorized signature for all certifications for applications to the USDA electronic portal. Yeah, I hope so, because I'm not going to repeat that.
I was going to ask you to repeat that.
Rachel Stallworth, Yuma County Public Works, the Improvement District Coordinator. And about March, the preliminary engineering review was completed for the Tacna Water Project, and there were some choices to make. And after reviewing the different ones that were presented, we agreed, Nancy, Diana, and I, that the 5.4 million estimate was about the best one for the TACNA area, and implemented all the things that we wanted to take care of. And so in order for them to complete the application, we need to hold this public hearing and then authorize Nancy to be the certified signer for that on the electronic portal. We'd forgotten about that before as we went in. They've just gotten live on their portal recently. They've been having some issues with it. But now Diana has the application completed, and we would like to submit that as soon as possible. So, if we could
All
hold
right,
the public
so this
hearing.
is the item that
This is one of them, yes.
Mr. Ramos was talking about. And he felt that $5 million wasn't enough, so we'll find out.
We'll take anything we can get.
Yeah, really, huh?
So we may have to change that.
Okay?
Anyway, I'm gonna open up, does anybody have any questions about the project other than the description that was already given? If not, I'm gonna open it to the public and, have a public hearing on it. If there's someone, I hereby open it to the public. Is there someone in the public that wants to address the board on this particular issue? Would you please step up to the podium? This is the opportunity for clarity here.
Yes, transparency.
Conspiracy.
I'm Cuban American, so about corruption, we know all about it. I don't want to even talk about it. And but my thing is, I didn't really hear what she said. But my thing is, all right, what is 100?
No, we're not in the Gadsden Park yet. We're
Not
at
at
the
Gadsden
Tacna
Park.
Water Company, the $5.4 million project. And we're talking about dedicating applying for $5.4 million to provide Tacna Water
Yeah.
project.
Which one is that one?
The number
The one
one.
we're
Number
talking.
one.
Yeah, the guys.
No. The Gadsden comes
Gadsden's
after that.
number
Paragraph
two.
That's the
above.
next one.
Gadsden Park's number 2.
I don't have number one.
I guess he had questions on.
Oh, in Gadsden, I know he had questions in Gadsden.
But also probably about the other items.
Yeah.
There's-
But on this project,
And you're gonna have to take over the next.
this project, I would like to comment that I'm all for it.
Good, because
it's
we
gonna
also are all
improve
for
the
it.
county.
Yes,
Yes.
So
and so is the people in Tacna.
Yes.
my word is
May not be enough?
we got to be careful because the taxpayers are being taxed a lot. I mean, the homeowners.
Well, this,
This is not
this
home.
area formed an improvement district. With the homeowners' approval, the people that live within the district approved the tax rate, the tax hike that they get to pay for this. They've already approved it. Yeah, they were for it to help get the water system in.
Yeah.
So it's only, the tax rate only applies to the people within the Tacna town site.
Glad you told me that. That makes it more clear. I didn't know about that because one of my concerns is when I used to live in government housing, the water kind of smelled when I'm taking a shower, and I'm saying, come on.
No, this is something they've been working on for several years. It's an ongoing thing, but the people inside the Tacna town site that this applies to have approved the tax rate hike for them to help cover it.
But I want to talk about the other one.
Yeah,
Right, we'll get to it.
we're getting to it.
So this is the public hearing. We've had one comment. I'm going to close the public hearing, go back to regular session. So the next item in the agenda is to approve an application to the USDA RD and authorize Nancy, who's standing back there, Community Planning Supervisor, to serve as the electronic authorized signature for all certifications for applications to the USDA electronic portal. Is somebody going to address this, or we just simply want to
I have a
give
question on it, yeah.
question? To whom?
So, I don't know, Nancy maybe, or Rachel?
Ms. Rachel.
Is this a loan or a grant, or a
Or
loan that
combination.
might become a grant?
Uh,
Supervisor McLeod, we do not know how much we will be receiving as far as grant. We are applying for some CDBG funds for $2 million, which would offset what we're requesting from RD, but we do not know until it's totally finalized how much will be grant, how much will be loan.
Yeah,
Okay?
all right, okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the item
Yeah.
as
So moved.
presented.
So moved.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the item as presented, item B. Any more discussion about it? No discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. That takes care of item number one, action item number one. We'll move on to action item number two. And I'm gonna read it and then turn it over to the vice chair, because I do have a conflict of interest in one of the items in there. So the item is to conduct a public hearing regarding applications to the Arizona Department of Housing for the Community Development Block Grant CDBG funding for the fiscal year 2020 regional account. Funding for 3 projects: Yuma County Garden Park Improvement, Yuma County Food Bank Evaporative Cooler Replacement, Comité de Bienestar Las Casitas Apartments Rehabilitation, the fiscal year 2019-2020 state special project funding for 1 project, Yuma County Owner-Occupied Housing Rehab, and the fiscal year 2019-2020 Colonia set-aside funding for 1 project, which would be the Tacna Water Infrastructure Project. This will be the first, the public hearing, and then we'll adopt, if everything goes well, we'll adopt resolution number 2020-15, authorizing submission of the applications, and C, authorize the vice chairman to sign the application certification statements, disclosure reports, and all necessary forms for the application. I'm turning it over to the vice chair, Supervisor Porchas, to conduct the meeting. As I have stated before, I do have a conflict of interest with one of the items. Not because it's in my district, not because of that. So, Mr. Porchas?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair, and we'll go ahead and hear from Diana. Morning.
Chairman, members of the board, Diana Veloz with County Administration. Today I'm here to talk to you about the Community Development Block Grant and the applications that were approved back in the meeting February 19th, 2020. You guys picked 3 applications to move forward with for the regional account. So I'm here to open a public hearing for those projects, as well as the state special projects, which we call the SSP, and the set-aside Colonia funding for the Tacna Water Project.
Do we have any questions for Diana, or can we just maybe give a brief background of what we have here, what the 3
Projects.
the parks, yeah, what we're, so that way Mr. Ramos, maybe he can know a little bit about it.
Okay, sure. For the Community Development Block Grant Regional account, we did get additional funding from what we described back in February 20th at that meeting. And we were able to fund all 3 of the projects. They can be fully funded. The first project is the Gadsden Park for ADA improvements and electrical and safety issues. The second is the Comité de Bienestar. We're going to be doing rehab on 30 units in that area for their HVAC systems. And the third is the Yuma Community Food Bank, which will be getting 13 of their warehouse evaporator coolers replaced. And for the state special projects, we're still applying for the maximum, which is $500,000 for owner-occupied housing rehabilitation. And we are going to try and rehab 5 homes, rehab and reconstruction on that one. And that is a competitive grant, so we don't know if we have those funds yet. We won't know till we apply in June. And the set-aside Colonia funding is at $1.9 million. And that one is for the Tacna Water Infrastructure Project, and that is to build a water infrastructure system and provide lines, replace the lines that are the older lines that are in that community.
Thank you, Anna. He stepped out. Before I
Mr. Vice Chairman?
turn it over, I think he was just so I can open up to the public or open it up to the public.
Mr. Vice Chairman?
Yes.
I had a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Diana, You mentioned 500,000, but only 5 homes?
We're doing
100,000?
We are doing reconstructions as well. We're hoping to do 4 reconstructions, and those reconstructions, we don't know how much money they're going to end up bidding at, and that is why we're estimating them at 85,000. If we're hoping to do a little more, but that's what we're applying for is 5.
So is that deconstructing the home and then
Rebuilding it.
rebuilding?
Yes. Yes.
Seems like an awful lot of money per.
House.
Demolition, it probably costs more than, it sometimes can get expensive. Because they don't know what, if they find other.
Yeah, I understand that.
Asbestos
And it seems
and
like
all
you
that
could do an
stuff.
awful lot of repairs to many more homes for that kind of money.
Mr. Vice Chair
Right.
Diana, now, all of these homes are located in the counties? Or are they in the cities as well?
All the homes are within the Yuma County, including Somerton and San Luis area,
Okay,
because they don't have a housing rehabilitation program.
okay. But some of them are located in the city of Yuma, or in the city of Somerton, or in the city of San Luis?
Nothing in the city of Yuma, because the city of Yuma and the town of Walton have their own housing rehabilitation program, so we have to exclude those.
Oh, good, thank you.
But everything else within.
Okay.
Any other questions for Diana? I'll thank you, Diana. I'll go ahead and open up to the public hearing. And we'll hear Mr.
Now you get
Yeah,
to come up.
I have a comment when he's done our question.
This is still a water treatment, right?
No, but it also is the Gadsden Park.
I still haven't heard anything on what the $170,000 buying, and how is it going to be safe for the citizens to be used? I don't understand.
Okay.
All right, safety is my issue.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're talking about, from what I heard, is spending. Now we're spending, which I like, all right, because it helps the economy. I understand that, but the safety issues, you know what I mean?
Well, those issues are gonna be addressed as when we get the money, and it's gonna be for electrical for that park. The 170,000, it's gonna be used for electrical in those structures that we have around the park, within the park, like the lights, the bathrooms, the Ramada structures that they're there, but also they're gonna look at other things that
The
the
ADA.
park needs.
But it did-
ADA.
ADA,
but-
yeah.
ADA approved, yeah,
ADA
ramps
approved, yeah.
instead
I
of
understand
stairs.
that, but if they're taking the benches away,
No,
No, that
but
won't
they
be.
did that part. And then,
no,
you know, I'm
what
gonna
they're
go over there
looking
and-
at is, like I said, making it where handicapped people or the ADA compliant, where they can gain access to the park as well. And I believe they're also looking at some tree trimming, and, I mean, there's some stuff the park needs to be addressed, to clean it up and make it safer for the public.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've noticed since I've been around here, since you said trimming, we need oxygen. And the more we cut the oxygen away, the more it's gonna be harder for us. That's the safety issues that I'm talking about.
Well,
Well, a lot of the
Vice
trees,
Chairman, the trees need to be trimmed because they're unsafe right now because the branches are broken and a lot of them are overgrown and they need, that kind of stuff needs to be done. It's more maintenance on those trees than it is, it won't be eliminating trees, it'll be maintaining those trees, it'll be, and in Gadsden, it'll be ADA approval so that people can come to the park that are handicapped. And then all the electrical needs to be upgraded. It is ancient down there, and those park lights and the bathroom lights and the electrical in that park need to be upgraded to meet standards. You
And I'm
know,
all for that.
and that's what
Safe
that's
for
what
the
the
public.
170 is going to be
That's what the
used for.
170 is gonna be
Okay,
used for.
that makes it more transparent. Like,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
better and I can go out to the public and say, hey,
We're,
Yes.
what are you guys?
it's
Yeah.
all related
Supervisors.
back to the public safety and
It
making
is
sure
all
they
related.
What
have.
do you guys call it?
Board of
Cons-
Supervisors.
the county council is doing something great for the city.
Yes, it is. For
Yeah,
the
right.
county,
For the whole
yes.
county, yeah.
Gadsden is a part of the county.
And
yes.
those parks are used by any person that lives in Yuma County, so they can go and use those parks. So we want to make them safe and better for the public to be used.
And before I go on, before I leave,
What the?
don't forget us veterans, all right? I heard the presentation, it was a great presentation,
Yeah, our veterans.
but I'm a
work.
veteran, so I gotta say something.
Well, definitely.
Take care of us, all
we're-
right?
And
We're
that's what the
trying, we
veterans
will.
courts are trying
Definitely.
to do.
All right, thanks.
Thank you for your concerns.
Thank you for coming.
Anybody else from the public that has any comments? Yes.
Members of the board, I just want to make the correction that there's going to be no maintenance of the trees because our grant doesn't cover maintenance.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But
I know that was one of the issues that was brought up about Gadsden Park was the
Right, and that's going to be covered in the regular budget,
Oh, it is.
tree
Our
trimming,
budget.
because it's not eligible for CDBG, so we're doing it within our general
Okay.
fund budget.
All right. I'll go ahead and turn it over, close the public hearing and turn it over back to the board for any other comments or questions. Mr. McLeod?
No, I'm good.
You
Thank you.
good? Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Do I hear a motion or?
So moved.
Chairman, I move.
Oh,
Okay.
go ahead. Go ahead, Russell.
Oh, go ahead, Lynn. I'll second her motion that I
Okay.
assume would be to approve as presented.
Yes, yes.
There's a
Adopt
motion.
resolution number 2020-15 authorizing submission of applications and authorize the vice chair to sign the applications, certification statement, disclosure reports, and all necessary forms for the applications.
There's a motion and a second. And all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
I record my abstention.
So, just one abstain. Motion carries. Thank you. Turn
All
it
right.
over back to Mr. Chair.
Took too long to do that.
And we want
We're gonna,
You want to
you
give
have
it
to
up?
deal with the special circumstance. The item number 3 is county administration, discussion and possible action regarding the following legislative items. A report to the Board of Supervisors regarding proposed bills in the Arizona State Legislature with impact in Yuma County, an update regarding strategies relating to federal legislative priorities, which I suppose there will be very little. You will be given it?
Right, yes. Paul Melcher is out this week, so I don't have anything new to report. The governor's latest executive order came out last week, and notification has been placed.
Close that door.
Interesting to hear yourself
Thank you.
echoing.
Yeah, that's what this morning, it threw me off a little. Yeah.
The Senate may or may not be back in service today. The House is adjourned, and the state legislature has not come back to service, so there's no new legislative activity to report.
I would assume, which is bad, that there won't be much happening this year, other than maybe some budget issues at some particular point in time. So there will be, I think everything changed a couple of months ago, and now we're dealing with a different scenario. Even for the legislature, it's a different scenario. And so I think we're going to get a glimpse of that when we go into the budget discussions and how different that's going to be. So I'm going to move on to the budget presentation, which is the county administrators and Office of Management and Budget. Presentation will be given summarizing the recommended fiscal year 2020-21 budget. For Yuma County Attorney, Susan, you will lead us through a PowerPoint presentation, and Hill will present spreadsheets for review, right? Or is he going to do it through?
It's up to you if you'd like to do that
I
now,
do.
or if you'd like to wait till after the budget sessions with all the departments. So, but I will do the overview.
No. Let's get a summary. I mean, just the lowlights of the budget.
All right. Good morning, Chairman Reyes and members of the board. I'm pleased to provide an overview of the recommended budget for Yuma County for fiscal year 2020-21. The recommended budget is the result of months of work on the part of staff in the Office of Management and Budget, Financial Services, Human Resources, County Administration, and the directors of the county and courts, departments, agencies, and offices. And I want to thank all the staff involved for their hard work to date. particularly in light of recent significant changes caused by COVID-19 health emergency, business shutdowns, school closures, and the uncertain economic impacts that these events will have on our community. So the county identified a number of goals going into the 2020 budget process. First, we take a baseline approach, meaning that we look at every expenditure from the ground up to determine the need for that expenditure and the appropriate funding level. We've carefully examined requests from departments and agencies and focused on the highest priority needs. We're recommending a responsible and balanced budget that remains flexible and adaptable to future changes. The recommended budget takes into account the need to closely monitor revenues in order to authorize major spending commitments. Funding for some items is being recommended to be sequestered until late December or January 1st to ensure revenues are coming in sufficiently to be able to afford the expenditures. This includes recommended salary adjustments, major equipment, vehicles, and some capital outlay. Our budget includes funding for all current positions. It also includes a compensation adjustment of a half step, which is roughly 1% for all pay plans, in addition to a half step anniversary increase for eligible employees, along with reclassifications, compression adjustments, and minimum wage requirements. Due to the efforts of staff and the Yuma County Employee Benefit Trust Board, health insurance premiums will remain this flat with no increase to employee premiums. There is a planned shift of 1.5% from 37.5% to 39% for the employee's share of dependent premiums. The recommended budget also includes adherence to the board's adopted policy for fund balances, except in the jail district, which we'll discuss later in the presentation. So obviously, this budget process has been more challenging than previous budgets dating back to the Great Recession. This is due to the COVID-19 health emergency and the related actions to restrict travel, close schools, and shut down most businesses and retailers across the state. The governor's stay-at-home executive order will continue until at least May 15th, although there was some relaxing of restrictions for a small part of the economy. All of this translates into reduced tax revenue for the state and the county. Property tax, state shared sales tax, and county sales tax are the county's top three revenue sources. The impact on our future revenue picture is unknown. Receipts for sales tax lag by 2 months, so we won't even know the impact of the shutdown on April's revenues until mid-June. Even so, there are obligations that we have the responsibility to address. These include the required increases for state pension plans for PSPRS, ASRS, and CORP, and the minimum wage. Debt service obligations, maintenance of effort support to various districts, grant matching and subsidies, capital investment for required technology and placements, and vehicle replacements, which, as mentioned, are being recommended to be sequestered until January 1st, 2021, and dependent upon sufficient funds. So this chart summarizes all funds for which the county is responsible. The funding appropriations as recommended compared to the current budget. And as you can see, the budget for all funds is increasing by 2.2%. Our major fund of note is the general fund, and revenue categories are shown here. As mentioned, the largest three sources of revenue are shown at the top: county sales tax, or TPT, state shared sales tax, and county property tax. And the change overall is shown as 0.74% from the current year's budget. The general fund uses are categorized as expenditures, which include personnel and related expenses, supplies and services, vehicles, equipment, and contingencies. Transfers out to other funds, and fund balance or reserves. Our fund balance is increasing 3.24% based on the board's adopted policy to keep at least 20% of total uses in the fund balance. Overall, uses are budgeted to increase 2.65% from the current year. It's important to keep a healthy fund balance in case of emergency or some unexpected reduction in revenues during the course of a fiscal year, so the county can continue to provide essential services to the community. That is why the board adopted a fund balance policy for each of the major funds last year. Recommended fund balance for the general fund is shown here at 20.46%. The fund balance for the health district is well above its adopted 15% policy level. This is a tribute to the health director and her staff in maximizing their use of grant revenues to pay for health expenses rather than the operating fund. The jail district fund balance is less than the recommended 5% level. The jail district is funded mainly with sales tax revenue And if they run into a serious situation this year, the board may decide to approve the use of the flexibility language allowed by the state to transfer funds from another countywide fund to the jail district fund. We'll just be keeping a very close eye on this fund. This transfer happened before when the jail district balance became extremely low. The fund balance for the library district is above its adopted 25% policy level. And over the past 2 years, the board has acted to stabilize the drop in fund balance, and that has been effective. The flood control district fund balance is also above its adopted level of 15%. As shown here, the county has maintained a fund balance of at least 20% of total uses in the general fund since 2015-16. The county is in this strong financial position due to conservative budgeting practices and reduced spending year over year. This allows for us to use our fund balance reserves, what some might call a rainy day fund, to offset some anticipated reduction in revenues for this current fiscal year and assist us in addressing next year as well.
Stop right there. Back it up a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Okay, why are we always talking about a fiscal year as if we run on a regular year? I mean, because we run a fiscal, for example, if you have a fiscal year 2020 projection and a 2021 budget, is it budget? Is that what it says, budget?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why would we have two different numbers if it's 19 and 20? I mean, we run into a, 17, 18, 19, 20.
In this case, the
mean-
budget office is showing the year ending. So it's the year ending June 2021, fiscal year ending. So I refer to it as 2021, but this chart shows it just as 2021. So
Okay, so what you're giving us is basically a calendar year.
no, it's
No.
fiscal year. But
But yeah,
this
it ends.
fiscal year is what I
I
refer
know
to
what
as
it is.
FY.
It's just- But it's got a different balance for one year to the other year. And why not use, fiscal year 17, 18, or 18,
You
19?
can change the chart because that's what it actually means. It's just confusing because it doesn't have the 2 years that I normally refer to it. So we'll just fix that chart. This should say 2019-20. This would be
So that's what you got.
2020-21.
That's what you got on top. It says general fund balance, fiscal
Correct.
year 25-16, fiscal year 2020-21. But when you have two different balances in the
No,
2 years,
I'm sorry, that's not, this is what our actual is. This is what would be represented by 20%. This is what our actual reserves, or 27.6%. Our policy level would have been 20%. That's what this shows. Actual versus budget, or actual versus policy level.
no, I know that. That's easy to understand. What is not as clear to me is why we're using different years for different balances. That's it.
We will change this so it's not confusing.
It means the same thing.
Yeah.
So can I move forward? Or
No,
we
you
done?
can't. Why are you asking? Move forward.
Just want to make sure your questions got answered.
Well, yeah, you finished the question. You answered.
During the budget process, the budget review team carefully scrutinized requests for new positions for fiscal year 2021. More than 13 positions were requested for next fiscal year. The recommended budget includes a net increase of 4.375 FTE positions from all funds compared to the current year. 3 of these positions are new FTEs in the general fund, which we'll show you in the next chart. Funds for these positions are recommended to be sequestered until January 1st to ensure sufficient revenues are coming in to afford these positions. The 3 positions listed at the top are the new positions being recommended in the general fund. Those are in development services, information technology services, and the public fiduciary. And in the special revenue funds, you see there's 1.25 increase in nurse practitioner and a reduction of a facilities maintenance worker in housing. So this chart shows the changes in more detail. Some of them are offset by other costs, savings, and some are a funding shift from one fund to another. So I'm not going to go through them all, but just please let me or the budget team know if you have questions about a particular position. So there are 4 ongoing projects and only 1 new project recommended for funding in
Can we
the.
go back there one more, the recommended staffing?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman and Susan, these 3 positions are 4 altogether. Let me see, it said 4.375 FTEs will only be added to if we find out that our revenues are higher than what.
Right. As I mentioned, they're going to be sequestered. The funding will be sequestered until January 1st to ensure
Okay,
we have
so we
sufficient.
can't hire those folks until after January 1st.
I would. That's our
That's
recommendation.
a decision we have to
Yeah,
make.
that's
I
our
know,
recommendation.
but basically that's what
That's
you're
the
saying.
recommendation.
That's what the recommendation is.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So as I mentioned, only 1 new project recommended for the general fund, and that is the ITS server platform upgrade, which is 15 years old and it's in dire need of replacement. It's a very key element to our entire system. In special revenues, there are several ongoing and new projects recommended. These include in Highway User Revenue Fund, the Housing Department, and Flood Control District. The recommended CIP book has been distributed, and then there'll be a presentation tomorrow on May 5th about the CIP in more detail.
So we're gonna get that corrected from heat to health.
Oh, yes, that's a good idea. We'll fix that. Overall, we're recommending no change to the combined property tax rate for all funds. All the funds remain the same. The library, as you can see, is recommended that we reduce the debt service fund by 0.0037 and move that 0.0037 to the library district operations rate so that the overall rate remains exactly the same. As reported by the assessor, county net assessed values increased by an average of 3.48% for fiscal year 2021, and new construction decreased by almost 10 million or 32%. The recommended tax levy amount for 2021 is about $32.5 million at the current rate of $2.5288 per $1,000 of assessed value.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, sure. Supervisor.
Just a comment for the public. That 30-some% reduction in new construction does not represent a slowdown in Yuma County's economy. It was simply due to large solar projects coming on 2 years ago. And so I didn't want somebody to think that we had a 30% reduction in construction activity in Yuma County, because that would not be accurate.
So if you look at this, it says includes the bump due to the inclusion of solar last year that is now excluded due to a court ruling. So that is the only difference there. That's why the difference, why the decrease. Okay. So Yuma County's median home value is $163,000. If the home's value remains the same, there would be a $0 increase in that homeowner's county taxes. If a home valued at that amount increased at the average assessed value increase of 3.48%, you can see that the homeowner would see an increase of $14.35 in next year's county taxes. So this concludes the overview of the county's recommended budget for FY 2021. The next steps are later today and tomorrow, the Board of Supervisors will conduct budget meetings with all departments, agencies, and outside parties, and then provide direction to staff on any changes going into the tentative budget. On June 1st, the tentative budget will be adopted, and then on June 22nd, the Board will conduct a combined budget hearing and truth and taxation hearing and final budget adoption.
Remind me, why are there was some sort of issue with having it at the regular board meeting, the second, it was the first and the second, yeah, why?
Because on the 1st is the tentative budget, and you have to have at least 15 days advertisement.
That's why.
So it would push it past the June 15th board meeting, so we moved it to the following Monday.
That's right, it was we had to
You have
post
to advertise it in the newspaper for 15 days.
That's right, and because we want to get it done before July the 1st, That's why it was sort of, we spread it out. That's why we have a special meeting, right? June 22nd or something like that. All right.
Will we have a meeting on the 15th?
No, that would be, we move it to the 22nd.
Okay. So that concludes my presentation.
There questions? No? No questions? We'll begin the process then later this afternoon at 1 p.m., right?
Yes, that will
Is
be
there
interesting.
anything else in the agenda we need to take care of before we all go do something else until 1? Okay, well, the event calendar. Does anybody, did anybody disobey the order to stay at home and went and did something else?
No,
Okay, so that's not gonna.
No
I hope-
events.
I hope no.
but I went to
Somebody tells me,
meetings
I
on
went
the
to this
phone.
meeting and I went to that meeting.
I did.
No, I do want to emphasize,
Slide.
there's been a lot of Zoom meetings
Yes, there
that
have.
we've taken place. So, I mean, I was being facetious about being places, but you can actually attend meetings without leaving your home or attend meetings while at the office. So I will start with Lynn and to give us her report of how many meetings she has not attended personally, but has attended phonically or digitally.
Okay. I've attended the chambers, both of the chambers lunch and learns. They've been very informative. I've been on the teleconferences with Senator Sinema on these federal programs that are being offered, the PPEs. I attended the CSA's LPC meetings. There were 2 of them. I came here for the budget meeting, and I've been at YMPO meeting and the Hospice of Yuma meeting, all teleconferencing. So, yes.
Thank you, Lynn. Supervisor McLeod?
Several CSA meetings. Also, the executive committee met recommending no change in the fees to the counties, so keep that flat. And a couple other webinars, ACA, Arizona Commerce Authority, and Senator Sinema's teleconferences. So that's about it.
So,
Same, listened in on a few teleconferences, see what's going on. I did attend a couple of meetings, PSPRS court meetings that we had to do, but we had our social distancing. We were spread out throughout the room. And budget brief here at the county admin, and I also went down and attended that rally they had on 4th and 24th Friday evening to reopen, see what's going on. They had a good turnout, about 100 people showed up down there. So
Good turnout.
good turnout. And said they're just trying to support everybody, small businesses.
They just wanted to get out.
Yeah.
Just, and,
So,
you know,
and that's about it.
all right. Supervisor Portia?
I attended on the phone the YMPO meeting, and that's it, pretty much.
We have been having, not Senator, but Representative Dunn has been putting together a Friday at 2 p.m. kind of conference call for most of the elected, most of the, mayors and, the chairman of the board and representatives and senators local. He's put together a meeting at 2 p.m. on every Friday. They've been interesting, to say the least, and I think we have achieved a point where we may want to continue having them simply because I think coordination between all these different entities is crucial. It makes sense for all of us to be on the same page. So they've been attended by the mayor of Yuma, the mayor of San Luis, the mayor of Welton, Representative Dunn, Representative Osborne, Representative Fernandez, Representative Senator Kerr, Senator Otondo, and the Chamber of Commerce, Curtis, and YEDC, Julie, and the hospital, the Mr. Tresho, I think. And so they've been quite interesting. I mean, they sometimes degenerate into a discussion that takes an hour, going back and forth, especially when it comes to issues. Oh, and the mayor of San Luis, did I mention him? Yeah. But I think they're necessary. At this particular time, I think it's we all need to stay in touch and have the same approach to most of the things that are happening right now. It's kind of funny that you guys all mentioned that you have listened to the presentation from Senator Sinema on Thursdays, because I tried to get in, and because there's so many of you guys, I couldn't get in. So I, you know.
You gotta call early.
Yeah, you gotta call early. I got in, I once called at 3 and it was at 4. So they had me waiting for like 15 minutes and they threw me out because the meeting didn't get started. But they've been interesting meetings. The interesting part of that is that, you know, I sent in a question regarding CDBG distribution, which was a waste because there was no money set aside on the third financing stimulus bill. So, but still, though, that we made the point that CDBG distribution formulas didn't really favor counties, smaller counties like ours. So that's an ongoing thing. I do want to take the opportunity to thank UPS on behalf of the city of Somerton, because I know the city of Somerton, but they just received a shipment, I think on Friday, of 5,000 masks that they got for them. You know, Bruce McRae from UPS, as a contact that was established through Charlene Fernandez, you know, was able to somehow gather this many masks. So I hope Somerton can use them and use them wisely. I just wanted to make sure that at least they got a shout out. They, you know, I called them up one day and 2 days later, the masks were in Somerton. So that was a very good thing for them to do. I remember Supervisor Porches when I told them, asking me how they were going to deliver them. I think, I told them, probably FedEx. They're only UPS, so they're probably going to deliver them to FedEx or the post office. No, they really stepped out and came forth. So anyway, not to make it too long because we're going to get back here by 1, so I want to give you enough time to do whatever you need to do. I think that's about it, isn't it? Thank you very much, everybody. So we'll see you at 1 p.m.
Does Susan have anything?
Susan, you have anything? Sorry.
I've been concentrating on the budget.
Well, we can tell. All right, so, is the 1 p.m. meeting a continuation of this one, or do we open up a new one? So it's a new one. We'll see you all at 1 p.m. Thank you very much, and thank everybody that makes this possible.